Hi, hello students. Welcome to your first live sessions for Sociology Enrichment program. So the agenda for this particular session will be that I will be highlighting that what you have to do for the next 3 lectures which you will be watching for chapter 1, 2 and 3 of paper 1. Okay. Then I will also discuss what you have not to do related to sociology at a larger framework. I will also try to highlight what you need to take care of when you are doing your answer writing practice. And before that, if you are looking for how to enhance your understanding related to the sociology, that how we are going to do and improve our sociological understanding, or as C. Wright Mills says, sociological imagination. Done. So first, let's look at the syllabus of first 3 chapters and why they hold a very important position for us in the UPSC. So the first syllabus is about, the first chapter is about sociology, the discipline, where you read the first topic, which is about modernity and social changes in Europe and emergence of sociology. Now first try to look at the PYQs which have been come from this particular chapter. In 2024, they have asked related to how sociology is product of European Enlightenment and Renaissance. Critically examine this statement. Again in 2022, what aspects of Enlightenment do you think paved way for emergence of sociology? 2021, Europe was the first and only place where modernity emerged. 2020, how did the intellectual forces led to the emergence of sociology? Then 2019, historical antecedents for the emergence of sociology. Then how the collapse of functionalism and bankruptcy of Marxism coincided with the rupture of modernity. Then sociology is preemptively study of modern societies. Then again question related to Enlightenment and how it's contributed to the emergence of sociology. In 2014, how did the emergence of industrial society change the family life in Western Europe? So basically the demand of examiner in this particular section, the first section is about that you should having a thorough understanding of what is Enlightenment period and what are the different changes. For example, from Renaissance period, if you highlight the changes, then your scientific revolution, then your Enlightenment, which led to the birth of modernity. Then there was anti-modernity impacts, which further led to the larger change of society and hence the emergence of sociology. This we will be covering in detail in the first lecture itself. So I am just giving you an overview. So our focus should be on understanding this flow and what are the each and every components of this particular flow are. That after there was also rise of industrial revolution in this particular period. That how all of these led to the changes in society, how there was chaos in the society. Because of that, the earlier sociological thinkers or forefathers of sociology thought about that, yes, we are going to look forward for a new subject which will be understanding this social chaos, social uncertainties, and hence sociology taken birth. Then the next topic, scope of subject and comparison with other social sciences. So here the focus is on that what is the scope of sociology, what is unique in the nature of sociology, that we will be finding in the questions itself related to PYQs. So in 2015 or 2025, there were 2 questions which came from this section. The first is, in what way is the scope of sociology unique? That if there were earlier social sciences or natural sciences subjects, how this is unique, how the new sociology, new subject which was born, how its scope is unique, which is different from the earlier subjects. कि ऐसा क्या यूनिक है इसमें कि जो अर्लियर सब्जेक्ट्स नहीं पढ़ पा रहे, नहीं समझ पा रहे, कि हम सोशियोलॉजी के थ्रू पढ़ेंगे और समझेंगे. Then in 2025 itself, the question was, what is the relationship, similarities and differences the examiner itself has highlighted what you have to write about. You have to write about similarities as well as differences between sociology and history in terms of their area of study and methodology. Then 2024 again discuss the nature of sociology, highlights its relationship with social anthropology. 2023 discuss the relationship between sociology and political science. 2022 delimit the scope of sociology in relation to other social sciences. Then 2021 from the viewpoint of growing importance of multidisciplinarity, how do you relate sociology to other social sciences? 2017 discuss the changing question of discipline of sociology with other social sciences. 2020 how the globalization has been leading to the change in nature and scope of sociology. 2018 the sociological imagination enables us to grasp history and biography and the relationship between the two in society. CRAD Mills, the same statement which was given by CRAD Mills, that how we are going to improve our sociological imagination to understand the society. Then 2014, how is sociological approach to human action different from the psychological approach? So in all these questions, if you must have seen, the major focus is on, one is on scope, second is on nature, and the third, if last 7 to 8 questions you must be seeing from before 2023, from 2022 to 2014, there was focus was mainly on other social sciences. But now in the recent years, in 2023, 2024, 2025, they have started to pick up one particular subject on the basis of which they are trying to highlight, or they want you to write that how sociology is different from these subjects. For example, in history from 2025, then in 2024 social anthropology, and 2023 political science. So next year or this year in 2026, I am expecting that they will be asking questions on sociology and economics, that what is the difference and what are the similarities. So be prepared for this particular topic, because there are huge chances that this particular topic will be coming in the exam in 2026. Then the last section of paper 1, which is sociology and common sense. So in this sociology and common sense, the question is always related to the relationship between sociology and common sense. Relationship between common sense and sociology. Sometimes they will ask you that how common sense is leading to the birth of sociological understanding in society. For example, in 2025, what is common sense? How are common knowledge and sociology related to each other? 2023, do you think that common sense is the starting point of social research? What are its advantages and disadvantages? 2021, how is sociology related to common sense? 2018, the focal point of sociology rests on interactions. How do you distinguish between sociology and common sense? Then 2016, is sociology common sense? Give reasons support to your argument. So every time they are asking a question related to that, what is the relationship between sociology and common sense? Okay. Now let's try to analyze the syllabus of next chapter, the chapter 2, which is about sociology as science. The first topic they are asking, or they want you to write about, is science, scientific method and critique. Science, scientific method and its critique. That what is science? What are the methods related to scientific method? What is scientific method? Why sociology should be called as science, or what are the reasons sociology cannot be called as science? Okay. These are the topics which they are asking. Now in 2025, they asked a question on this particular subject itself, that what is science? Do you think the methods used in natural sciences can be applied to sociology? Give reasons to your answers. Then 2023, what are the characteristics of scientific method? Do you think scientific method in conducting sociological research is foolproof? Elaborate. 2020, methodology is a system of rules, principles and procedures which forms scientific investigation. Comment. So basically this is nothing but the question of 2023 itself in different terms. Then 2016, describe the basic postulates or basic models of scientific method. How far are these followed in sociological research? 2018, does scientific method make sociology a science? We have to write this answer with the help of Durkheim's method, which he has used in sociological understanding related to his different concepts like suicide, etc., etc. Then 2017, explain how sociology has emerged as a distinct discipline based on rationality and scientific temper. So you can relate this particular question from the first chapter itself related to enlightenment and modernity. Then 2015 is sociology as science, give reason to your answer. So basically the major theme which they have been focusing on in this particular section, section A of chapter 2, is about science. What is its meaning? What are the different characteristics related to scientific method? And we have to compare it with social science, or mainly our sociology, that how much we follow these characteristics or these methodologies in our sociological research. Then the next topic of this particular chapter is about major theoretical strands of research methodology, that what are the different approaches of theories we use in this particular understanding of our sociology and make it a research method. So first question, what do you understand by mixed method? Discuss its strengths and limitations. Then in 2024, how do you view and assess the increasing trend of digital ethnography? The new type of question which they have asked in this particular 2023 or 2024 exam, where the students were mainly confused. But if you have a basic understanding of ethnography, you can easily write the answer related to digital ethnography. Then in 2023, distinctiveness of feminist method of sociological research. Then 2023, again dramaturgical perspective, a perspective given by Erving Goffman, they have asked about it. Then phenomenological perspective, Alfred Schutz's perspective in sociology related to that, how it rejects the positivism. Then ethnomethodology helps in getting reliable and valid data. Examine ethnomethodological and phenomenological perspective as critique of positivism. Bring out the significance of ethnography in social research. Discuss the importance of interpretative understanding of social phenomena. And then there will be questions related to interpretative understanding itself, okay, where we prominently write about phenomenology, ethnomethodology, Verstehen methods, etc. Then the last, positivism and its critique. Then there will be non-positivism. So section C, positivism and its critique, where they are asking questions related to what is positivism, and we have to critically analyze the major arguments against it, basically the rise of non-positivism. Then what are the shortfalls of positivist philosophy that give rise to non-positivist method? So basically whatever you will be writing here in critical analysis, that you will be writing in this particular question also. 2021, how are the sociologists justifying using positivist approach to understand social reality? Explain this to suitable illustrations. Examine the basic postulates of positivism and non-positivism. So we have to, in this particular section, we have to focus on positivism and non-positivism. How non-positivism is criticizing positivism, and how positivism is criticizing the non-positivism. That will be the cycle which we will be following in the lectures related to this particular chapter. Then your fact, value and objectivity. So here, to understand this particular concept itself, this section itself, you first need to have a proper understanding that what does fact means, what does value means, and what does objectivity means, how they are different to each other. Okay, so if we are trying to find out empirically any concept which has been given, or any information, for example, the highest literate state in India, it is Kerala. It can be justified on the basis of empirical data. Okay, then what is value? Value is the norms, beliefs on the basis of which we follow our everyday interactions, that whenever there will be elder, we have to bow against them. That is the value which have been given in the Indian traditions. Then objectivity. Objectivity is nothing but the method or attitude to attain facts, that you will be removing your personal biasness, you will be removing your moral biasness when you will be trying to judge or learn about anything new in the society. Objectivity is an attitude, fact is the empirical result of that. Okay, so for this particular section, you need to have a proper understanding of these three terms. Then you will be able to solve these particular questions which they will be asking. For example, in 2025, they have asked about how does Weber's Verstehen address the objectivity-subjectivity debate in sociology. So this is a very important concept, the Verstehen, which means empathetic understanding. Okay. So suppose you being an upper caste person, but you want to research for a lower caste discriminations or the discrimination the people in the lower caste families or regions have been facing. So you will go there without any moral biasness. Whatever they are, feeling, whatever they are telling you, you will try to write about or try to look at the particular scenario from their perspective, not from your own perspective. तो आप वहाँ पे कोई अपनी जजमेंट, कोई बायसनेस लेके नहीं जाओगे कि नहीं यार मैंने तो ऐसा आज तक नहीं किया है और आप लोग बोल रहे हो तो शायद ऐसा और लोग भी नहीं करते होंगे, बट ये बायसनेस आप लेके नहीं जा सकते. Okay, so that is the basic simple example of Verstehen. Then 2024, how do you think objectivity is an overhyped idea in sociological research? Discuss the merits and demerits of non-positivist methods. Then 2022, how does a research achieve objectivity in interpretative research? Then again, Max Weber's method of attaining objectivity in social research, which is nothing but Verstehen. Is sociology a value-free science? Then again, value-free science. Examine the problems of maintaining objectivity and value neutrality and how objectivity is different from value neutrality. So unless and until you have a proper understanding of these three concepts, fact, value and objectivity, you are not going to write good answers related to these questions which they have been asking again and again. And the next section, which is about non-positivist methodology. Is non-positivist methodology scientific? Illustrate. Then non-positivist methodology is essential for understanding the human behavior. The importance of non-positivist approach you have to focus here. Okay. Then starts the chapter 3, research methods and analysis, where we will be finding about the tools on the basis of which we will be gathering data, data to understand the sociology. Now, in research methods and analysis, the first topic is about qualitative and quantitative methods. So in my classes itself, you will be seeing that we have clubbed this particular topic in the chapter 2 itself. Why? Because the approach related to non-positivist and positivist is nothing but the approach related to qualitative and quantitative methods. Okay, so whatever the models, whatever the characteristics related to positivism you will be seeing in the chapter 2, those will you will be finding in quantitative methods, and whatever the approach related to non-positivist characteristics you will be finding out in chapter 2, they are similarly related to qualitative methods. Okay. Here again the questions terminology will be in such a way that they will be asking you about differentiate between qualitative methods and quantitative methods. Okay, every time they will be asking the same question. Then next topic, the B section of chapter 3, techniques of data collection. That what are the different techniques on the basis of which we collect data, the sociologists collect data to understand the society. So the most prominent topic they have been asking again from this particular section is about participant observation. Okay, sometimes they are asking different questions also, for example focus group discussion, survey methods, etc., which you will be seeing in the later sections. In 2023 they asked about what are the ethical issues that a researcher faces in making use of participant observation as a method of data collection. Okay, so the issues related to participant observation has to be highlighted in that particular 2023 question. Then in 2016, participant observation is the most effective tool for collecting facts. So unless and until you are having a proper meaning of facts, you understand what fact is, you cannot going to write about this particular question. Then 2022, the difference between information and data in social sciences is subtle. So look at the words they have been using, information and data. Okay, which has some different meanings related to it. Information will have hidden meanings related to the data which you are collecting. Data is nothing but a quantitative measure which you are collecting. Then suggest measures to minimize the influence of the researcher in process of collecting data through focus group discussion. Challenges involved in collecting data through census method. Analyze the strengths and weaknesses of social survey method, and in what way biographies could be used to study social life. Okay, this is nothing but related to, you can relate it with the history wala part also when you will be reading about comparison between sociology and history. Then last 4 sections, variables, reliability and validity, hypothesis and sampling. So every year they have been asking questions related to these particular 4 sections. In 2024 they have asked about variables, 2025 2025 they have asked about reliability, 2025 again they have asked about hypothesis, and 2025 again they have asked about sampling. So why I am showing you these particular questions related to these three chapters? Because these three are the most neglected sections by you guys whenever you prepare sociology. But in the last 3 or 4 years, the weightage of these three chapters have increased so much that they needed to be covered in holistic framework. Okay, what you focus upon? आपका फोकस हमेशा से the way you have been taught sociology or reading sociology is on thinkers. जब भी किसी स्टूडेंट से बात होती है व्हाट यू हैव बीन रीडिंग रिलेटेड टू सोशियोलॉजी, जी मैं कार्ल मार्क्स पढ़ रहा हूँ. क्या आपने उससे पहले 3 चैप्टर्स पढ़े हैं? नहीं, हमने नहीं पढ़े. ओके, नाउ लुक एट द वेटेज ऑफ chapter 4 related to thinkers. Last year only 30 marks of paper came related to thinkers, but in this third chapter related to research methods and analysis, the paper was of 50 marks. So for the first 3 chapters itself, they hold a huge importance related to from 50 to 80 marks in your final exam. So you have to comprehensively cover those 3 chapters if you want to score good in sociology. सिर्फ थिंकर्स पढ़ के कुछ नहीं होगा unless until you are implementing their thoughts in a right way. जहां पे आप लोग हमेशा कंफ्यूज रहते हो. वाई? बिकॉज योर फोकस इज ऑन लर्निंग न्यू थिंकर्स. किसी टॉपर के नोट्स देख लिए और एल्स लिसन एट सम पॉडकास्ट एंड ऑल कि भाई मैंने तो ऐसे आंसर लिखा था, मैंने तो इतने नए थिंकर डाल दिए थे, विच इज नॉट गोइंग टू गिव यू गुड मार्क्स. पहले जो हमारे सिलेबस में 6 थिंकर्स हैं, कार्ल मार्क्स, इमाइल डर्कहाइम, मैक्स वेबर, एल्कट पार्सन्स, रॉबर्ट किंग मर्टन एंड जॉर्ज हर्बर्ट मीड. एटलीस्ट पहले इन 6 thinkers को let us understand in a very comprehensive way that what was their thought, how we are going to comprehend that in our answers. हम वो समझ नहीं पा रहे हैं, and our focus has been shifted to learning the new thinkers. माइकल फोके याद कर लेते हैं, जॉन बॉडरियाट याद कर लेते हैं, उससे हमें फायदा हो जाएगा. क्यों? If you are writing about anything related to rationality, can't you write or relate that with Max Weber and Karl Marx? Emil Durkheim can also be related in this particular thought. पहले ये अंडरस्टैंडिंग तो हम बना लें, then we will be shifting about learning the new thinkers. Okay, so whenever now you are going to read about sociology, just focus on a particular process. Every time you need to have syllabus by you. Okay. Now in this enrichment course, which is nothing but a kind of a crash course itself, you have to focus first on your own notes. Read those notes before coming to the class or watching the lectures related to your enrichment or crash course. First read your own notes, then look at PYQs. Now when you will be looking at PYQs at this particular stage. Don't jump into writing answers. First try to find out the key words or the key themes which they have been asking in the PYQs. पहले उसको समझने की कोशिश करो. Okay, then we will be jumping into the video lectures which we will be uploading related to your enrichment or crash course classes. Watch this video. If anything comes relevant to you for which is not available in your own notes, then enrich your notes with the information which you will be getting from these classes. Okay. After this enrichment, whatever the practice which we have been doing in the classes with the help of 300 plus questions, just try to solve them with me in the class itself. Okay, then you also have your practice set of questions which is your homework. Complete that, then come back to your PYQs without looking at the answers first. Try to write about it. Okay, don't go with a predetermined structure which you will be finding out about in PYQ model answer. वो हम देखेंगे, that is a secondary step. The primary step is that we have to increase our thinking capability, sociological imagination, to understand the concept, understand the question itself. Then we will be trying to write the answer. पहले ही हम मॉडल आंसर्स देख के आंसर्स नहीं लिखेंगे. Okay, first we will be trying to make our understanding that how we are going to understand this particular question. Everyone has different subjective understanding, so we have to find out that. तभी तो हम इनोवेशन लेके आ पाएंगे अपने आंसर राइटिंग स्पीड्स पे, अप्रोच में. Then there will be tests which will be aligned related to the completion of that particular papers or the particular sections. Then you will be attempting those tests. So if you are not coming with a proper understanding of syllabus or proper reading of your own notes and directly shifting or switching into watching videos or reading the notes, that is not going to help you out. Mark my words. Okay. So this was that how you are going to do it, and this will be the flow of my classes also. Now, let's understand little bit related to what we are going to do in this particular 3 lectures which are aligned after this session. आज 8640 Sociology Foundation for 2027. Yes, beta, we have already started the Sociology Foundation for 2027. You can look for the information at the administrative section, or you can also watch this particular lecture because this is relevant for the basic understanding of sociology also. Now, the first 3 chapters, one is sociology, the discipline, second is talking about the science, and the third is talking about the methods which will be used related to science. Now, what are these? In the first section, we talk about what is science or what is sociology. In first chapter, in the sociology, the discipline, we are talking about what is sociology, and hence you will be reading about origins of modernity, the boundary matrix between modernity, Renaissance, Enlightenment, scientific revolution, industrial revolution, and the counter modernity trends. And then we will be comparing it with other social sciences, and the important being it is nothing but define common sense. Okay. In second chapter, the focus is on what is valid or why it is valid. That means the empiricism which we focus about in science, the objectivity, the factual authority which we focus on in science, how and in what parameters it is valid for the sociological research also. Okay, so here you will be focusing about the scientific mandate, positivism versus interpretivist school, and the Weber's Wurstein, which is nothing but a bridge between positivism and non-positivism. Then third, the methods, that if we have understand that yes, the syllabus has born what is sociology, how it is different from, or what kind of approach the sociology is having related to the science, then what are the methods on the basis of which we are going to learn about the society. So this is the flow of the chapters which we have given in syllabus. So here you will be focusing about hypothesis and variables, sampling techniques and data collection, different toolkits or methods which we will be seeing in the different lectures. Done? Now, just to brush up the knowledge of yours, look at this particular section. So there was dark age before the Renaissance period in Europe. Everything was dictated by the church. Everything was dictated by the upper class people who were ruling at the particular section at that particular point of time, the kings and nobles. Now, church was supporting them and they were supporting the church to have their own rules. So, इन्हीं दोनों के पास rule था. Everything was related to the religious norms and religious rules which were dictated by the church. कोई उनसे बाहर जाता था तो that means they are targeting the church, they are targeting the religion, and hence blasphemy etc. that was seen at that particular point of time. जो आपने बहुत movies में भी देखा होगा, बहुत stories में भी पढ़ा होगा. But there was time when there was rise of scientific revolution in the Europe. Darwin came, Newton came, Einstein came, all came with the different thought processes, and they were not ready to accept the reality which the church was showing. They were looking for the real, rational reality which they were finding about. कि पहले बोल दिया था कि चर्च अर्थ गोल नहीं है, but they came with the thought कि नहीं, the earth is round and it rotates around sun, which was not available earlier. Okay. So this dark age to modernity has been through various social changes. One was Enlightenment, which led to the rise of reason and scientific temper in the society. That people started to question everything which the church was highlighting. That reason क्या है इस चीज का, rational क्या है इस चीज का, which you are highlighting here. Then there was a rise of industrial society, there was a rise of urbanization, new classes forms, etc. etc. Then there were economic changes in the form of commercial revolution. Now earlier the church was preventing the people from going out to seas to look for the countries which are available at at the different distant positions. For example, जब पहले बात हुई कि they will be going to explore the trade because every trade route was controlled by the Ottoman Empire. So they wanted कि अब हमारे पास trade route नहीं है तो at least we should be using the sea route to go to the different countries. But church was like कि नहीं, यहाँ तक जितना पानी दिख रहा है उसके पानी के बाद दुनिया खत्म है, आप लोग मर जाओगे. So some people, they pick up the courage, and with the help of king's authority they started to move forward in the sea, and hence we see the rise of colonization in the different parts of world. जब वो लोग वापस गए तो वो यहाँ से बहुत सामान लेके गए different countries से, and the people were very much astonished about कि भाई हमें तो चर्च ही झूठ बोल रहा था, हमें तो रिलीजन के नाम पे पागल बनाया जाता था. And hence that led to the rise of commercial revolution, the banking system, etc. And in the end there was the rise of industrial revolution. The market forces became very much prominent. Okay, the companies which were set up in the urban areas, people were coming from the rural areas to get their work in those companies. The market forces, the production system all changed, and that led to the huge change in the society. Urbanization growth, that class was divided into different sections, upper class and lower class. Okay, then there was crime rate, etc. increased, child labor increased, women labor increased, etc. In the terms of Max Weber, when we will be seeing in the Max Weber, Karl Marx, when we will be understanding about Karl Marx, you will be seeing that how he has been talking about the reserve army of labor related to the rise of industrialization, okay, and capitalism. Then there were political changes. French Revolution, which gave us liberty, equality, and fraternity. The democracy rose. Rule of law became very much important. Okay, so there were social changes, economic changes, and political changes. Then there were intellectual antecedents, which the UPSC asked questions, as we have been seen in the PYQs. So जब भी intellectual antecedents का question आएगा, you will be writing about that this is nothing but there was a rise of philosophy of history, scientific approach, biological theory of evolution, which was given by Darwin, which was taken by Herbert Spencer to understanding the social evolution of society. Then political philosophy and surveys of social conditions. You will be writing these 5 points and you will be elaborating them. That will be your answer related to intellectual antecedents related to the rise of sociology. Okay. Now, these were the social changes, but social challenges क्या है इन changes से? So because of these changes, there were challenges like poverty, the breakdown of family and the traditional norms, individualism was on rise, and there were new crimes. Then there was exploitation of labor, there was income inequality, which we see right now also in the form of Oxfam report, etc. Then poor living conditions, machines which were replacing the human labor, and the rise of anomie and alienation, which you will be reading about in Karl Marx and Emil Durkheim. Then the political changes, the political instability, chaos and order, the collapse of traditional order with the rise of democracy, and the people who wanted that we should be participating in the rule, not the people who are ruling us कि वो खुद ही rule बना रहे हैं और हमें उससे दूर रख रहे हैं. Okay, like what we have been seeing in your world history wala part when you are talking about the American Revolution, that no taxation without representation. Okay, then this all led to the rise of reasonability, adoption of scientific techniques, and this became the methodology of sociology. So to understand these changes and challenges and the larger social chaos which were prevalent there, that led to, or that became the subject matter and methodology which led to the rise of new subject, which is sociology. Okay, so there were intellectual forces. Which were those intellectual forces? The Enlightenment and scientific revolution. So rationality became the core, where the question was on logic, not what you have been teaching up on the basis of traditions. उन traditions का logic क्या है, how factual they are they going to help you out or not, उसके ऊपर बात करेंगे हम, ऐसे और कोई बात नहीं करेंगे. Okay, so rationality systematically replaces the theological dogma which was prevalent on the basis of church authority. Then the material forces which led to the rise was industrialization and the capitalism, the industrial revolution and capitalism, which led to the rapid urbanization, shift in the family structure, division of labor change, etc. There was a period of unprecedented social chaos and transformation, and hence sociology became the new discipline born strictly out of necessity to study, understand, and bring order to the modern societies. Okay, so this was the basic related to your understanding of this. Then what was the characteristics of early sociology? So there were thinkers like Auguste Comte who were talking about that this sociology is nothing but social physics. एक तो natural physics है, which are learning about the scientific, which are learning society in the form of scientific approach. साइंस की बातें हो रही है, वहाँ पे फैक्ट की बात हो रही है, ऑब्जेक्टिविटी की बात हो रही है. तो अब जो नया सब्जेक्ट है सोशियोलॉजी, इसको उन्होंने बोला कि दिस इज नथिंग बट सोशल फिजिक्स. Okay, that here you will be understanding the society on a broader framework. Then there was Emile Durkheim who also followed this positivism approach. This Auguste Comte has given the birth to the positivist approach, which was later followed by the Emile Durkheim and all. Okay. So positivism basically means, when you are talking about the Hindi, pratyakshvad, that whatever you are seeing in the reality, you are trying to understand that in the form of rules, methods, etc., etc. ताकि हम लार्जर जनरलाइजेशन की तरफ भाग सके. दैट इज द कोर ऑफ साइंस. बट सोशियोलॉजी ये कहती है, और द इंटरप्रिटेशन नॉन पॉजिटिव स्कूल ऑफ थॉट दे से दैट कि हर एक चीज जनरलाइजेशन की तरफ नहीं भगाई जा सकती. देयर विल बी डिफरेंट रूल्स, डिफरेंट मेथोडोलॉजीज टू अंडरस्टैंड द ह्यूमन इमोशंस. व्हाई? बिकॉज ह्यूमंस एंड देयर इमोशंस आर नॉट, they cannot be controlled in a lab kind of environment, which is nothing but core of science. Okay, so there were different characteristics of early sociology, which was highlighted by T.B. Bottomer, that in his first work related to sociology, a guide to problems and literature, he argues that the early sociology was not an abstract academic exercise, it was a direct intellectual response to the earlier thing which we have seen, Industrial Revolution and French Revolution. So he find out that there are 4 defining characteristics that shaped early sociology in the 18th and 19th century. What are those 4 characteristics? First is encyclopedic. That early sociologists thought about that this particular sociology, the new science which they are looking for as a form of social science, this is nothing but queen of all the social sciences, as talked by Auguste Comte. That सारी sociology की mother यही रहेगी, सारी social sciences की mother sociology रहेगी. So it is not narrow, it should be looking at a macro perspective. That means focusing on the generalization of human relationship. Okay. Then the next is evolutionary. That, like as highlighted by Charles Darwin, that how the biology or the human beings, they have evolution from a particular path, the same way the society is also evolving. So evolutionary is also an important characteristics of social science or sociology. For example, as Auguste Comte says, that the society has moved from theological stage to metaphysical stage, and in the end there will be scientific stage. In theological stage, he talked about that there is huge emphasis on religion, the traditions, the beliefs. Then in metaphysical stage there will be emphasis on the real rationality, कि जो natural दिख रहा है वो दिख रहा है, उसके बारे में बात करेंगे. Then in scientific stage there will be focus on scientific time per logic, कि जो natural दिख रहा है ऐसा दिख क्यों रहा है. Okay. Then positivists, the early sociologists were obsessed to give sociology the same academic legitimacy as physics, biology and chemistry. They believed that the methods which we are using in these 3 sciences, that can be also used to understand the human emotions or human interactions or human relationships. Hence their focus was on positivist or scientific approach related to development of methodology of sociology. Okay, that's the reason I have talked to you about here, in that Auguste Comte was talking about positivism and sociology being social physics. Then ideological, that despite claiming to be objective, scientists or the early sociologists were deeply motivated by the social chaos created by Industrial Revolution and French Revolution. So sociology was born out of a need to solve the social question related to urbanization, poverty, disintegration of family and the political instability. These were the ideological bases related to the development of sociology. Okay. Then the another important topic which we have highlighted earlier, that how the sociology is different from other social sciences, it has also been asked in the paper. So in political science, history, economics, anthropology, psychology, etc., you will be dealing about that particular approach in the classes in detail. The political science basically focus on the distribution of power and the status apparatus, whereas Sociology observes that how this power dynamics has been related to or has been distributed in the different segments of the society. How different social interactions, social relationships are giving birth to the power dynamics. ये हमने बात कर ली कि yes 33% of seats are reserved for women in पंचायती राज institutions, but at the real level the rise of panchayatpati syndrome is part of sociological research. Okay, similarly history is talking about your timelines, the past events, but we talk about that what were the reasons or changes related to those particular historical events. For example, like Guha has propagated about the subaltern protests, जिनके बारे में कभी बात ही नहीं होती थी. This is nothing but a protest movements by the lower levels, the marginalized sections, the Dalits, women, tribals, etc., etc. Okay, so we talk about their contribution also in the history part, and hence different from history. Then anthropology, the social anthropology, that it focused simply on non-religious cultures, but the globalization has rapidly changing the society in such a way that we are focusing about that how it is impacting the larger social world. Then psychology focus on individual human interactions. कि आप अगर परेशान हो, that means you are going through some depression. In depression you will be facing anxiety and you can attempt suicide. But here comes the sociological view given by Emile Durkheim when he talks about the society is not an individual act, it is a social act on the basis of decrease or increase of social integration or decrease or increase of social regulation, which he has given in his society theory. कि कोई इंडिविजुअल एक्ट तभी कर रहा है जब उसको सोशल प्रेशर मजबूर कर रहा है वो स्टेप लेने के लिए. ओके, सो दिस इज हाउ वी विल बी अंडरस्टैंडिंग दैट थिंग इन आवर क्लासेस आल्सो. देन कम्स योर sociology and common sense, which is nothing but a very important part of our syllabus. So common sense is nothing but the routine knowledge which we are having for understanding the society, okay, which is unexamined, based on assumptions, routines and everyday human experience. But in sociology we don't focus on unexamined assumptions, okay, we focus on structured verifiable interaction rather than individual assumptions, as highlighted by C. Wright Mills, that the sociological imagination enable us to grasp history and biography and the relationship between two in a society. That how social norms, social relationships, social interactions have been happening in the society, we are focusing on that, not on the basis of human assumptions, but on the basis of patterned, verifiable interactions and relationships. Okay, that औरतों को घर से बाहर नहीं जाने दिया जाता रात को. कॉमन सेंस कि हमारे यहाँ तो ऐसे होता है, शुरू से हमारे यहाँ ऐसा होता है. हमारे घर में औरतें, द वुमेन, दे विल बी टेकिंग द लास्ट मील. बट व्हाई इट इज सो? व्हाट इज द इम्पैक्ट ऑफ द लार्जर सोशल वर्ल्ड और सोशल इंस्टीट्यूशंस ऑन दैट पर्टिकुलर एक्ट? फॉर एग्जांपल रिलीजन कैसे पोर्ट्रे कर रहा है वो, या पैट्रियार्की कैसे पोर्ट्रे कर रही है वो. जब हम गाने सुनते हैं कि भला है बुरा है जैसा भी है मेरा पति मेरा देवता है, व्हाई सो? व्हाई वी हैव गिवन सो मच इंपॉर्टेंस रिलेटेड टू दैट पर्टिकुलर पार्ट? That is how we focus on sociological imagination and sociological perspective. Okay. Then the second chapter where we talk about natural sciences and social sciences. So natural sciences, they focus on empiricism, theoretical formulation, testability and universality. That their focus is on datas, their focus is on quantity, their focus is on finding out the relationship between those datas and those quantities, and how we are going to formulate a particular thesis or theories related out of it, which will be testified and which will be generalized. That every time one particular scientist will be testing about those particular information, he will be finding the same kind of results. And if not, then we are talking about the falsifiability as talked by Peter Berger, which you will be seeing in the classes. Okay, here we have a fixed system of rules which we need to follow. So rigid system of rules, principles and procedures to form an investigation, and hence we will be talking about it. Okay, but in social science we cannot follow the rigid system of rules, because human behavior cannot be concentrated in particular room, particular environment. Okay, there is one school of thought interprets the dramaturgy, which is talked about, which is related to Goffman, where he talks about that in individual sphere you behave differently, but in public sphere you behave differently. तो आप इस चीज को कैसे जज करोगे? तो हमारा काम तो ये है ना कि वो बिहेवियर चेंज क्यों हो रहा है, why that particular person is following the social norms. If you are focusing on the functionalist school of thought, they will talk about that they are following the social norms because of social integrity and because of social morality and social solidarity. Okay, but that thing, a laboratory experiment cannot be done for social science. So can natural sciences mechanism map human society? It is difficult to talk. Then Durkheim's method, that treating social facts as things to inject absolute scientific temper and rationality in the human actions. But the core tension, that human reactivity and the subtle shift from raw information to sociological data, how we are going to comprehend about it. क्या हम उतने rigid methods use कर सकते हैं? So here comes your interpretive school of thought, led by Max Weber, where he talks about the worst hint, that empathic understanding. कि आपकी पर्सनल बायसनेस जो सब्जेक्ट चूज करने में है, आप सिर्फ उसमें रखो, बट वट एवर द इंफॉर्मेशन यू आर गैदरिंग, you should not be biased in collecting that information. You should not be judgmental in collecting that information. Hence, he talks about that we cannot be 100% objective in sociological research or social science, but we can be value neutral. We can aim for objectivity, although the 100% or absolute objectivity is not possible. Okay. Then sociology as science, that we should be focusing on rationality and temper. The basic postulates what the scientific methodology has been using, we will be using that, where we will be focusing about verification, predictability and high systematic data collection, which we will be seeing in the third chapter. Then Durkheim's method, the pre-historical illustration of establishing scientific legitimacy by treating social factors as things, which he has seen in, which we will be learning about in our society studies of Emile Durkheim. Okay. So here in this particular chapter itself, we will be focusing about that what kind of rules the social sciences can use from the scientific methodology. Then epistemological divide. Wherever the question will come related to epistemological, it is nothing but understanding of knowledge. Generally used in your natural sciences, where we talk about that what is the exact cause for the exact phenomena. ये चीज हुई, ये हुई क्यों, इसका हमें कॉज पता करना है. So we also focus on finding about the reasons related to those in our sociological research. So here we will be focusing about positivism and non-positivism. So how positivism, which is nothing but a focusing on scientific methodology, they see the reality. So they see the reality in objective, governed by discoverable universal laws, focusing on generalization, testability, falsifiability, etc. etc. Whereas the non-positivism, they look for the socially constructed and negotiated reality. कि जो reality है, the human interaction, the human relationship, it is socially constructed and negotiated in the form of different relationships. There are different interactions. So we should be focusing about those meanings and motives attached to those interactions. Okay. Then what is the role of researcher? He should be detached, maintaining absolute neutrality. But here we talk about phenomenology, where everyone has different subjective understanding to understand the society. Then ethnomethodology, where we will be focusing about the larger social pressure on the basis of which you will be interacting in the human environment. Then feminist methods are there, dermatological perspective is there. Data preference, there quantitative, statistical and microscopic, but here in non-positivist we focus on qualitative, interpretative understanding. What are the shortfalls of positivist approach? It fails to capture human consciousness, everyday meaning making and individual agency. That it cannot look for the everyday interactions. Why? Because it is focusing on making a larger generalized theory. अगर हर एक के interactions पे वो believe करने लग गया या focus करने लग गया, then it will be difficult for them to make a larger theory, which is the core demand of positivist or core approach of positivist school. Okay, but non-positivists, they have always been focusing on capturing the human experience and subjective behavior. Then quantitative methods and qualitative methods. As we have seen earlier, that the focus is on quantitative methods in positivism and qualitative methods in non-positivism. Okay, so what is the crux which have been getting from quantitative and qualitative methods? That the quantitative methods reveal what is happening across a society in the form of data, कि crime rate कितना है कहाँ पर. That for example, if you are talking about the Delhi, the Dwarka is not safe because of the huge crime rate in Dwarka region. In central Delhi, the crime rate is lower. whereas the qualitative methods explain why it is happening. So the crime rate which you have been seeing in spiked in Dwarka, what is the reason behind it, you will be seeing in qualitative. So that is the major difference between quantitative and qualitative. Then phenomenological perspective, ethnological perspective, and dramaturgical perspective, that is the core of interpretative perspective to understand the human emotions, human interactions. Now, what is phenomenology? Phenomenology is basically focus about that they say that reality is socially constructed by human consciousness, not dictated by any external physics like force. इस सबकी subjective understanding है to understand or learn about the society. For example, 10 candidates have gone for UPSC interview. One will be very much nervous. Why? उसका first attempt है. Second will be not at all tensed. Why? उसका third interview है. Fourth will be again not at all tensed but also very confident. Why? Because he's already in the services. So everyone has subjective understanding which is at the individual level. That is what phenomenology has been talking about, given by Alfred Schutz. Okay, कि सबकी subjective understanding depends on the social surroundings in which they have been behaving. So सबकी individual understanding होगी. So if everyone has an individual understanding, how we are going to look for generalization? That is difficult. Okay. Then ethnomethodology given by Garfinkel, that it focuses on everyday common sense methods people use to make sense of their world. So this is nothing but how you are going to behave in a society, in a larger social setting. Okay, for example, metro, you are traveling in a metro. So when the metro is going to arrive, everyone has been standing in a queue. Why? Because वही social reality है उस चीज को understand करने के लिए. You are entering a lift. आप लिफ्ट में एंटर करने ही एक दूसरे को चिल्लाने नहीं लग जाते हो. You silently enter the lift, take your space and wait for the time when the lift will open again. Why? Because everyone has been behaving in that particular same manner. So that is how social surrounding has been impacting you to or affecting you to act in that particular manner. Okay. Then dramaturgy given by Goffman, where he says that every day the people behave differently in the public spaces and in the private space. Okay, that it views everyday life as a theoretical performance, that you are just giving a drama. that ड्रामा करने के लिए ग्रीन रूम में आप कुछ और होते हो, जैसे ही आप स्टेज पे आते हो, जब पर्दा हटता है, you become someone else. Okay. It enables the profound understanding of social roles, impressions, management, and daily identity construction. Getting my point? For example, you are going to give a UPSC interview. You have to be confident enough कि आप जब इंटरव्यूअर के सामने बैठ रहे हो, चेयरमैन के सामने बैठ रहे हो, यूपीएससी चेयरमैन के सामने, दैट द कॉन्फिडेंस शुड बी शोन ऑन योर फेस. बट अंदर से तो आप नर्वस ही हो ना. ओके, सो दैट नर्वसनेस शुड नॉट कम इन front of the chairman, it should not come in the front of president of that particular board. So that is what behaving differently in public spaces and behaving differently in private spaces, which was given by Goffman. Okay, in the detail we will be also dealing about this in class. Then the problem of maintaining objectivity and value neutrality, as I was talking about earlier, that this was highlighted by a bridge made by Max Weber through his Verstehen, which is nothing but an empathetic understanding which requires the research to systematically understand the meaning which the actors have been attaching to their actions without morally judging them. Okay, so this is a bridge between absolute objectivity and absolute subjectivity based on values. Then what is the mechanism of sociological methodology? We focus on hypothesis, then we define variables, then we go for sampling, then we go for data collection, then we go for reliability and validity testing. If that is relevant, the hypothesis will become a reality, will become a theory, and hence generalization can be made on the basis of this. Okay. Then what is hypothesis? So hypothesis is nothing but a tentative statement which is highlighting a relationship between two or more variables. A tentative statement which is highlighting relationship between two or more variables. But what are variables? So variables are nothing but a measurable characteristics which change or which are subjected to change under different conditions. So they are measurable characteristics that are subject to change under different conditions, and the relationship between those variables is nothing but hypothesis. Okay, for example, हमने दो variables पकड़े, one is literacy, another is poverty. So higher rates of literacy lead to higher rates of poverty. This is hypothesis where we are trying to find relationship between two different variables. ठीक है, क्या ये सच में सच है कि नहीं? Okay. Then generally variables are considered as two different types. One is your dependent variables and another is independent variable. The dependent variable is the effect or observed outcome, whereas the independent variable is the cause or manipulated factor. For example, here the cause is literacy, the output is poverty. Okay. Then there are different data collection methods like participant observation, focus group discussion, social surveys, and census and biographies. In the detail of in this, we all will be dealing with these particular methods in detail in the classes, but just have a observe. Participant observation means that you are participating in a social surrounding, in a social setting, to observe what they have been doing. कि आप किसी गांव में गए टू गो फॉर कि यहाँ पे सोशल रिलेशनशिप्स क्या है, कैसे कास्ट डायनेमिक्स वर्क करती हैं, पेट्रियार्की कैसे वर्क करती है. तो यू गो एंड वेंट एंड लिव विद दोज मेंबर्स एंड ट्राई टू मेक नोट्स वट एवर यू हैव बीन सीइंग. That is what has been used by M. N. Srinivas and Andhra Bheti in their studies. Okay. Then focus group discussions. So you make a group and you try to discuss, make them discuss about the, research on which you have been working upon. कि आप अगर दलित एट्रोसिटीज के लिए कोई रिसर्च कर रहे हो तो आप एक ग्रुप बनाओगे जिसमें यू टेंड टू फोकस अबाउट कि उसमें सारे ही कास्ट हायरार्की के लोग हों एंड दे विल बी डिस्कसिंग अबाउट द इश्यूज दे हैव बीन फेसिंग रिलेटेड टू दोज Dalit atrocities, what are their views related to it, and you act as a mediator. Okay. Then social surveys and census, which you already know what census and social survey is all about, and biographies where the people have been writing about their stories and you tend to find about the what is the social reality of that particular point of time related to their biographies and whatever the timeline they have been written there. Okay. Then the new kinds of methods which we focus upon, the question was on digital ethnography and visual culture. So ethnography generally means that you are submersing yourself in the society to understand the society. Okay. So digital ethnography generally means that you are looking for a research or you are collecting data on the internet parameter, on the internet, on sphere. कि मान लो आपने Instagram reels से आप स्टडी ढूंढ रहे हो अपनी या डेटा इकट्ठा कर रहे हो, आप फॉर्म्स फ्लोट कर रहे हो इंटरनेट पे, उससे आप डेटा इकट्ठा कर रहे हो. दैट इज व्हाट डिजिटल एथनोग्राफी इज ऑल अबाउट. दैट द एस्थेटिक ट्रेंड ऑफ स्टडिंग ऑनलाइन कम्युनिटीज, डिजिटल इंटरेक्शंस एंड विजुअल मीडिया एज लेजिटिमेट डीपली स्ट्रक्चर्ड सोशल स्पेसिस, दैट इज व्हाट डिजिटल एथनोग्राफी एंड विजुअल कल्चर इज ऑल अबाउट. देन देयर इज अ न्यू ट्रेंड, a new thread of our research methodology, which is nothing but feminist method, where we talk about that how they see the traditional patriarchal structure and the traditional social relations which are becoming a very much challenging for the larger world. Okay. Now this is nothing but a graph related to that which gives you more information or more insight and how it is macro or narrow view. So participant observation, it is giving you high insight, high information, but is narrow in view. Why? Because it is related to the collection of data from that particular area, that particular village itself. Okay. Similarly, the census method is not giving you deep insight because you will not be able to judge or ask everything related to the human interactions or human relationships or social relationships. But it is having a broad view कि हम 140 करोड़ के लोगों का डेटा इकट्ठा कर रहे हैं, उनका नाम इकट्ठा कर रहे हैं, जेंडर इकट्ठा कर रहे हैं, सैलरी इकट्ठा कर रहे हैं, एटसेट्रा एटसेट्रा. Then your digital ethnography and visual culture, which is highlighting or supporting this participant observation method in increasing the or in broadening about the view to understand the society. Why? Because on internet you can easily connect with the different people of the different world. Okay. So remember this chart whenever you are focusing about writing answers related to these. Then sampling, there are different kinds of sampling techniques. Sampling is one of the important topics which the UPSC asks questions again and again. So here you tend to find out, sample the people on the basis of which you will be collecting data. Okay, so major divisions: probability sampling and non-probability sampling. In probability sampling, there are high chances of you will be getting selected, but in non-probability sampling, you select the people on the basis of your own conditions जो आपने पहले से बना रखी है. Okay, that when specific conditions or hard to reach groups are needed, you tend to go for non-probability sampling. Okay, there are different parts which were the part of your UPSC 2025 question. We will be dealing about this in detail in the class. Okay. Then again major important, that reliability and validity, and what is the relationship between that. So reliability is basically nothing but the consistency on the basis of which you are going to measure your data again and again. But the validity is the accuracy on the basis of which your consistency should follow. कि आप consistent हो for hitting your dart again and again at the same position. But our purpose is to hit the dart here. तो हमारे रिसर्च पे अगर वो चीज काम कर रही है, देन इट विल बी रिलायबल एंड वैलिड. बट अगर हमारे रिसर्च के अलावा कुछ और इंफॉर्मेशन दे रही है हमें, दैट मीन्स इट इज नॉट रिलायबल, इट इज नॉट वैलिड. दैट इज व्हाट यू विल बी डीलिंग अबाउट इन reliability and validity. An example, that a highly reliable survey on income might completely lack validity. That we are talking about inequality. तो अगर inequality के लिए हम डेटा इकट्ठा करते हैं, but a reliable survey, we made a survey which we consider as unreliable, but if we have ignored the hidden generational wealth in to be counted in that survey, that means the survey is reliable but it is not valid, because it is not giving us a true result. Okay, so these three things you will be these things in the next three sections of yours, or next three lectures of yours, you will be dealing about in the revision classes. What you don't have to do: first is, don't focus too much on thinkers. Okay, don't focus too much on thinkers. Don't look for unnecessary complexity. What does it mean? The unnecessary jargons which you consider as sociological words, उसको फिट करने की कोशिश नहीं करनी है हमें. We should be not focusing on the complex statements. We should be not focusing on that. Okay. Then for your answer writing skills, what we have to do, we will be writing about that. What we need to do: focus on basic knowledge. Focus on basic knowledge. Try to write as a person who is writing sociology for the first time. जबरदस्ती कि मैं कॉम्प्लेक्स स्टेटमेंट्स, कॉम्प्लेक्स वर्ड्स डाल के, कॉम्प्लेक्स थिंकर्स डाल के अपने आंसर्स को खराब मत करो. ओके, ट्राई टू फोकस एज बेसिक एज पॉसिबल. व्हाट इज कॉमन सेंस? कॉमन सेंस इज नथिंग बट अनवेरिफाइड रूटीन डे टू डे नॉलेज बेस्ड ऑन ट्रेडिशंस. ओके, देन for your basic knowledge, for improvement of basic knowledge, try to base your arguments on these knowledge itself. Okay, and then club it with examples, and then look for thinkers which you can quote. I will be showing in the classes that sheets, topper sheets also, where I will be highlighting this, that how simplified they have kept their introduction, how simplified they have kept their conclusion, and how simplified they have written the body parts without looking for any complexity. ठीक है. अब एग्जांपल्स में ऐसा मत करना दैट यू आर टॉकिंग अबाउट द सोशल फैक्ट्स एज थिंग्स एटसेट्रा, एंड आपने लिख दिया एमएल डरखाइम सुसाइड और छोड़ के चले गए अपने आंसर. दैट एग्जांपल शुड मेक सम सेंस. तो राइट प्रॉपर सेंटेंसेस, राइट प्रॉपर सेंटेंसेस. जो आपका जीएस का हैंगओवर है, जीएस का नॉलेज है, वेयर यू टेंड टू राइट कीवर्ड्स, एग्जाम्पल ऑफ टू वर्ड्स, और उसके बाद आप नेक्स्ट पॉइंट पे भाग जाते हो, वो चीज यहां पे नहीं करनी है. ओके, रेदर देन फोकसिंग ऑन 20 पॉइंट्स, जो आप जीएस में फोकस करते हो कि हमें नंबर लेना है तो वी शुड बी राइटिंग 10 पॉइंट्स 15 पॉइंट्स, रेदर देन फोकसिंग ऑन दैट अप्रोच, focus on the approach that if you are writing 5 points they should make sense with respect to focusing on core demand of question. Don't try to divert yourself from the core demand, कि core demand पूछिए कुछ और, you are unnecessarily highlighting the different parts which are not been asked there. अगर सोशल इक्विलिब्रियम के बारे में पूछा गया है या टैलकर पार्सन्स के डायनेमिक इक्विलिब्रियम के बारे में पूछा गया, तो आप सिर्फ डायनेमिक इक्विलिब्रियम के बारे में लिखो. आप लोग करते क्या हो, यू टेंड टू राइट अबाउट एजिल मॉडल, जिसका डायनेमिक इक्विलिब्रियम से कोई लेना देना नहीं है. ओके, so we will be trying to simplify our approach related to sociology. If you have any issues, I have dropped a form in the description as well in the comment section. You can connect on fill that form to connect with me, or else this is my number, you can connect me on this number also. Okay, so your classes have already been scheduled, your tests has already been scheduled, that your practice set has already been made. So go through that. We will meet again in the next session. If you have any issues, you can write in the comment box. All the very best. Take care.